For the Interrobang, I'm Gracia Espinosa, and welcome to this episode on the Red Couch podcast to the president of Fanshawe Anime Club, Samantha Thirakul.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah? And Moira Vasquez, one of the executive members of this club. And of course, today we are going to talk about anime and manga. But obviously, my first question is about what anime is, because I think not all the audience is very familiar with this term. So who is going to be the first one?
Okay, so I will have a tackle at it. So to really simplify it, so anime is basically animation that is straight from Japan, and we just simplify it as anime. So when someone says, "Oh, it's anime," it's basically animation from Japan. That's as simple as it is, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it.
I guess you could probably distinguish it better by art style. So a lot of people will cross it over with cartoons or just generally animated movies. Japanese animations have a very distinct style as opposed to Western animation. So you'll actually notice that a lot of the Western cartoons are kind of like caricatures of characters rather than actual characters. Obviously, Japanese anime has a very good example of caricatures as well. Like we have things like Pokemon where we have like animals turned into, well, Pokemon. Yeah. But yeah, that's really the best way to distinguish it. It's art style and just origin generally.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, another many people use the term manga and anime for the same, but there is a clear difference, isn't there?
Yeah, there's definitely a clear difference between anime and manga. So manga, and again, another way of simplifying it is that manga is basically Japanese comics. And one thing that's really awesome about it is that there is a vast field of genres and types of manga. And in addition to that, what's even more interesting about manga is that it's always in black and white. And I find that's one way that can really draw in people is because with manga being primarily in black and white, it allows the reader to really utilize their imagination and to really see how they do their comic panels and artwork differently. And that's the other thing about manga as well. A fun thing is how compared to Western comics and manga really does do their paneling very differently. Whereas so I'm getting this idea from a really awesome book called Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud, if anyone is interested for just how comics and stuff work in terms of their timing, their paneling, and to get very metaphysical about it. So basically, manga, it wants the reader to appreciate that you're there, and they will take their time in creating beautiful art where it'll show you you're in a garden, and it's going to show you different panels and stuff, whereas Western comics, like say from DC, Marvel, Vertigo, or Image Comics, they just want you to get to the point. And also it's in color. It's very boom, boom in your face kind of. Whereas again, manga, it really tries to do the opposite. And that's why I find it's a bit more beautiful in that way, even though, yeah.
I didn't expect that answer, Samantha, because I'm going to explain you. Because I understood that the manga is in black and white because the authors, sometimes there are 2, 3, or only one person who is designing the characters or who is creating the stories, so they need to be fast. That's why it's in black and white. I understood that, but Moira, she doesn't agree. But tell me.
No, not necessarily. I think you're definitely right where it used to be originally really small mangas used to start with like one author. Someone would write a story, someone would do the drawings, and then they would normally work together on doing shading. But I suppose in more recent times, you will actually find a lot of really interesting documentations, even YouTube videos of exploring basically a house of artists working on a single manga. So the way it works these days is you'll have like a main author who basically has a story and then who has the idea of what their art wants to look like. And then you will have people kind of, they would be considered interns basically, who would basically copy his art style and do the rest of the manga. So you'll have like your main panels where it's like so much detail, and then smaller ones that just adds to the story. And compared to animation, mangas aren't really as rushed these days. So you can definitely tell the difference with older ones and more modern ones where you'll see a lot more detail. Sometimes they actually come thicker now. So mangas will be released in 2 or 3 volumes, and as compared to last like 20 years ago, probably it's like a single volume per book. So yeah, you're definitely right about it being rushed, but the black and white thing is there's actually a really peculiar way on how they work on mangas, where it's like they go from ink and then they have
it's a long process.
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
a really
only
long process.
one person is drawing.
Yes.
There are different people who, one is the person who's going to add the ink.
Yes.
The other one is going to create the next chapter. The other one is going to introduce the new character according to the story. So sometimes it's not only one person.
Yeah, and to have it like mass produced as well, they even have like a lot of multiple layers that they have to add. Sometimes it's like plastine, I think is what they call it, forget, for like shading and stuff, and then they layer it on top of each other before they scan it for actual printing. And I think it's also just one of the reasons it's black and white. It's just easier for it to be printed in mass when they do it like that.
Wow, you are experts. Awesome.
I told you she's good.
No, it's very good because one of the questions that I have, that I'm curious, what was your first anime or manga, and what do you like most about anime? Because in my case, I prefer to read manga. I think it creates, it's the way that I imagine not only the characters, the colors that you have just mentioned, but I want, your opinion.
Oh my, do you want the short version or the long version? Because we'll be here for a while.
Well, that's another point. That's the other reason that I prefer manga than anime, because you always can see the real version, the original story of the author. Because for people who have never watched an anime, sometimes they cannot serialize all the manga.
Yeah.
So sometimes they introduce a lot of change, and people who really love manga, we are upset
Exactly.
with the anime studio. So that's my particular opinion. Manga better than anime. But what is your particular opinion? Manga, anime, and of course, what was your your first manga or an anime?
I've been preparing for this question all my life. I would prefer, I'd be the same as you as well, honestly. Manga, it's the best way to go, I find. But also, it's kind of a case by case where sometimes the anime is so much better than the manga. And especially with how powerhouse some of these animation studios are. Perhaps you've maybe heard of Demon Slayer. That one, for all the things that people say about it, there is no doubt, like 100% I find, especially through the Anime Club, we talk about this, is that the anime for Demon Slayer, the animation is outstanding. It's one of the best.
The story, increase the characters.
Yeah, it really enhances it. The animation studio, UFO Table or UFO Table, however you pronounce it, that's one example of where, in some cases, anime can be better than the manga, I find. That's just one popular example is Demon Slayer. But yeah, to circle it back, I would prefer manga. It's easier, and again, like what you said, where it's like in black and white, and you can kind of visualize perhaps what the characters look like. And it's also, I love like the physical copy. I like touching things. It's nice. So yeah, so it's nice to have the manga there, and I love collecting it too as well. So the earliest memory I can recall for me, the first anime that I was exposed to, I'm pretty sure it was Pokemon first, and from there it was Sailor Moon, and Sailor Moon's very close to my heart. I actually wore Sailor Moon earrings.
People cannot see it, but Samantha wears earrings related to the one of the I don't know how I can translate it this in English, but it's not the symbol.
It's basically her symbol, her logo, or it's technically her heart locket.
Yeah, so that's it.
That's what I'm wearing, yeah. And then I also have on my keychain as well, even though the viewers cannot see, it is one of her Sailor Moon transformations.
Yeah, she has different pins related to anime, manga. One of them, another one related to Sailor Moon. The dragon is spirited from Spirited Away.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Good for you. Yes, it's Spirited Away. Yeah.
I try to remember the title in English, Spanish, and Japanese, because when I talk with other students or other people who love manga and anime, I found that we don't share the same title.
Yes.
So, for example, Sailor Moon, it's for everyone Sailor Moon, but
Right.
Spirited Away in my country is El Viaje de Chihiro.
Oh,
So
that sounds pretty.
Chihiro's Journey,
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
translation, and in Japanese it's Sento Chihiro no Kamikakushi. So
Damn, that's cool.
Yeah.
Say it again. Oh. But yeah. So I started with Pokemon. From there, Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon is like a nostalgic all-time favorite of mine. But if I had to pick like favorite animes of all time, I would have to pick Revolutionary Girl Utena. It's really beautiful. It looks innocent at first, but it gets really dark after. I do highly recommend it. It actually kind of flips on the magical girl genre, which is what Sailor Moon is. It's really beautifully well done. It's very, I don't know how they do the cinematography on it. And it's just like, I'm pretty sure it's from the early 2000s, but yeah, Revolutionary Girl Utena is amazing. And in terms of manga, my first exposure to manga, it was actually, I remember vividly buying it. It was volume 3 of Naruto. So that was my first exposure to it.
I was waiting for Naruto.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He's popular for a reason. And yeah, like we've all had experience with Naruto. So that was my first exposure to manga, especially a physical copy, because I was young at the time. I wasn't aware of like, reading it online through whatever means. But yeah, it would have to be Naruto volume 3, and that was when they had the epic showdown of Naruto and Sasuke climbing up the tree, seeing who can handle their chakras better on their feet. I was like, man, this is so cool. So that was my first exposure to manga. But to connect that to what is my favorite manga is really tough, because you know, like you mentioned, there's like so many and it's so easy to grasp. But off the top of my head right now, and to be honest, I'm rereading it, I really love Berserk. I think Berserk's one of my all-time favorites. It's a very mature, it's really not for those who are weak of heart or cannot handle it, but Berserk is really good. Rest in peace to the author as well. It was a really massive loss to the anime manga community. But aside from mentioning a very, mature graphic series for the audience, I would have to say another manga that is a favorite of mine would have to be Our Dreams at Dusk. It's really beautiful. It's only 4 volumes, and it's one of the best like LGBT plus representations I've ever seen in media. It's so wonderful. It tackles every aspect and struggles that those who are of the LGBT plus community goes through. It's so beautiful, and actually won awards, I'm pretty sure, for like manga of the year and stuff. So that one is really beautiful. I highly recommend people to check it out, Our Dreams at Dusk. I could go on, but I want to pass it to Moira.
Well, Moira, now
Hi.
manga or anime?
That's tough. Okay. Current answer, I will say anime, mostly because it's easier for me to get all of the story in one go, especially now that I'm like running low on time to actually dive deep into manga. But at heart, I will say manga, because I think a lot of anime struggle to actually animate a lot of the beautiful scenes that they have in manga. My favorite manga of all time is probably Witch Hat Atelier. They could never animate it just because it's so beautiful. It's a fantasy manga about a girl learning how to learn magic, basically. And I don't think I could ever watch it animated, just because it's so hard to imitate all of those panels. So beautiful. It's drawn so beautifully. The amount of time they put into adding detail to it is so gorgeous. But for a quick run, I normally just go to anime. But, I think it takes a lot of research for me to find a series that I would prefer to read as a manga. So maybe I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's only,
Yeah.
I'm always curious, because sometimes people started with anime, other one with manga. In my case, I started with manga. That's why perhaps I prefer manga than anime. My first manga was Cardcaptor Sakura, for example.
Yes.
Oh.
So Moira, in your case, was first manga
It's
anime
kind of
or
embarrassing. So I'm from the Philippines. For anime, we were already like as a little kid, our morning cartoons were actually anime. So we would have like Naruto, we had Fairy Tail, all in Tagalog in the morning. So we would have
That's cool.
we would have breakfast, get ready for school, and there would just be anime on the TV, like by default. So
I didn't expect that it will be, in Tagalog, in your case,
Yes.
because you are from Philippines. Because usually, not all the manga and anime are for children. So that's why companies or animes are not dubbed. They always are in the original version, so it's very interesting.
Definitely, yeah. I think for us, it was usually the very mainstream ones. So we had Naruto, we had Pokemon in Tagalog as well. It sounded really weird, but I wouldn't say it's the best.
No,
way
it's
to
not weird.
watch
It's
it.
amazing. I would like to have all the animes when I was a child in Spanish. So.
It's great. Honestly, it's great. Like, because you grow up learning the language anyways, and just, I grew up not knowing that. Oh, this is anime. But that was my technically first exposure to anime itself. But for manga, really interesting is in the Philippines, we actually already have our own culture of making comics. So I don't really know what they call it. It's not manga. It's not comics.
It's
just
like the same, like in Korean, they have their
Yes.
own mangas.
Yes,
Also
exactly.
in Philippines, the same. It's not, we cannot call it, manga, because
'cause it's
obviously
not,
the comics are not, are not created for Japanese people, but it recreates the style of the manga.
Yes,
Oh.
exactly. I defaulted to just calling it just comics, but it was, the art style looked so similar to actual manga,
manga.
that I thought that was my first one. I remember it. So it's a romance comic, and it was called Love is in the Bag. I think it's a Filipino author. It's a really weird one.
And
where,
the title is in English?
yeah,
Oh.
it's a really weird one where the girl, whenever she whenever she sees her crush, he turns into a school bag. And I don't know why. They never explain why she does it. She just does, and it's like,
Okay.
yeah. So it's like, oh, he'll never notice me because whenever he comes by, I just turn into a bag, and I'm just a bag on a sidewalk. It's like, who's gonna talk to a bag? I don't know why, but that was that.
That's for the chapter 0.
Yeah, exactly. It was such a strange read, but it did get me into manga. And my childhood friend, she's still in the Philippines. She introduced, after I showed her that, she was like, "Oh, that's weird. Here's my collection," and she had this bedroom filled with manga, and she had like all those pirated DVDs of like really old shows, and she showed me my first actual me actually getting into anime. It was called Kaichou wa Maid-sama. Really old, well, not too old.
Not too old, but
yeah.
In the last 10 years, perhaps, I read a lot of shoujo manga. That's shoujo mangas, for all of audience, are manga usually for women,
Yeah,
because
for the
the stories are related, to romance. A man meets a girl, and this girl is not very popular. That's the style of the shoujo. So 10 years ago, for example, it was a boom. So more or less, I think that manga was...
It was huge.
10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, around 12 years or something.
It was a boom of shoujo, so...
It was just all romance, because it was that. There was Oran High School Host Club at the same year that was released. They had mangas like Special A.
Yeah, we are talking about 2013, 2010, so...
Yeah, especially at that time, I think the main shonen, or like basically action, or for the guys, anime was Dragon Ball Z. That was the biggest one that was going on, and then they had Naruto, and then Full Metal, and that was pretty much it. You had to, that was the most accessible kind of anime for guys, and you had to really look hard to find more peculiar or at least specific shonen anime. So back in my day, I sound so old. Back in my childhood, it was all romance.
They are very young. I mean, our guests are not, they are not 40 years.
I'm at the peak of my youth. Let's say that.
You guys don't know how easy you have it now with the online internet being so accessible. Like you have Funimation. Well, that's a whole nother story. You have Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll, you have even Netflix is even putting out original anime, and you have other streaming services that are taking in the licenses just to stream it. You guys have no idea how easy it is that you have so much accessibility, because I remember back in my day in YouTube where you would find, oh my gosh, here's an episode of an anime, but it's episode 1, part 1, episode 1, part 2, episode 1, part 3, let's go.
And it's like not even HD. It's like someone recorded it off of their TV.
Yeah, or it's like 380 or whatever, 360p.
Yeah.
So
and usually the subtitles are not in your language.
Yes. Either the subtitles are not helpful or they're just too overwhelming. And then especially with the manga scantillations, for whatever reasons, you guys have it's so easy for you guys.
Yeah, because one of the questions that I had is related to why right now it's so popular, because our conversation, you always say it's very beautiful, it's amazing, but I would like to that you explain more why it's so awesome, why it's so beautiful, and why it deserves to watch an anime or read a manga.
Well, I mean, you could take it back to like even 5 or 10 years ago. Anime and manga, well, for one, it wasn't as accessible as it was. Like, it would have to be in your face for people to get into it. But also, it's a lot easier to get into it now because we didn't have those stereotypes of like, oh, you like anime, you're probably a loser right now. Because now it's like everyone can enjoy anime because companies are actually trying to get to audiences that probably wouldn't think they'd be into anime. That's why we have such mainstream shows like Jujutsu Kaisen, we have Demon Slayer. It's easy to get into. Now that there's like so many options for even the Western audience to get into anime, like we have Crunchyroll, we had Funimation. It's easier now, and people are starting to realize, oh, it's just a show. Back then that wasn't really the case, because you would have to be a specific kind of interested in anime and manga to actually enjoy it. And when you do, you will, especially back then, you will take any chance to find other people that had the same interests as you. So there used to be this stigma of like, oh, anime is kind of like for losers. But now it coincides with so many other things. Like now anime is in gaming. Now anime is in mainstream media. It's just so much easier for people to get into it now that it's actually for a much wider audience rather than just very specific clusters of people. It's easy to pick up wind, basically.
That's
yeah,
why
definitely. You
Samantha,
got it. Perfect. That was
this
wonderful.
Club. So, because you found, I suppose you found a lot of students who shared, your same hobbies, your love with for anime and manga. So I would like to know more about this club. What kind of activities students can find, or what what you do on weekends, or all the activities are here in FSU?
Yeah, definitely. So if you guys are not aware or not, please check us out. We are Fanshawe Anime Club. You can go to FSU. You can just Google FSU and then clubs, and you will find us there, Fanshawe Anime Club. So basically, it's honestly, to really simplify it, it's just a nice club for people to gather where your general interest is anime and manga. And it's just a great time to just socialize, hang out with people with, like-minded interests. It's anime and manga, but we jumpstart from there. And there is such a common, like, we're all interested in video games, for example, like even K-pop, for example. It just branches into other forms of media and skill sets. And I know that, for example, I've seen like friendships blossom. It's really sweet. I've seen networking and like business things going on. Like I know that we have quite a handful of illustrators who are working together with each other to create merch or products. Like it's amazing. So I definitely would consider anyone who has general interest in anime or manga, or even if you don't, I find that we're honestly one of the best entertaining clubs I find. And it's actually worthwhile joining because I really make an effort to make sure everyone has a good time and to make sure that, we're all here to have a good experience in college, because let's be honest, college is like really rough. Okay. It's like, after midterms, like, I don't know. Okay. Like it's just insane. So I want to make sure that everyone who joins Anime Club has a really good time, and in addition to that, even if you are a newcomer to anime, like we're here to welcome you. Like just ask us, or if you're even uncomfortable, just approach myself or Moria or one of our admins. Like I have them here for a reason. Is that we know that even if you're new to anime or you're old to anime, but you want a refresher on it, like please do come join and say hi. So just again, go to like FSU and then Clouds and look for Fanshawe Anime Club. You will find my email there, and that's how you can get me. It's my Fanshawe online email. Oh, and a quick shout out to my vice president who is not able to be here today, Amit Gill. Thank you so much for all that you've done in the anime club. So Amit, shout out to you, my man, my VP. So when you go to FSU Clubs, you will see my email or Amit's email. So you're more than welcome to pass me an email. I will get back to you as soon as possible. Remember that even though this is a fun club, I am also a student and I'm having a tough time. But in addition to that, we also have our social media. Specifically, we love showing the stuff we do on our Instagram. So we are FSU_anime_club. Please find us on Instagram as well. And from there, you can even find our club sign up form, even access to our Discord. And you just have to sign up and then just shoot me a message saying, hi, I joined. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. And like, come into the Discord. Like, we're totally awesome. So yeah. Oh, and to circle back to your question. So the activities and stuff that we do, again, we're like really a chillax, fun, entertaining club. And so activities that we've done, I mean, we love trivia. We love testing our knowledge to see like who knows the best or less of like anime and manga. We love having debates and especially tier lists. Again, like this is the perfect, you want to talk about hot takes and stuff, get your butt over into Fanshawe Anime Club. I want to hear you roast my opinions. I want to roast your opinions too. So we'll have tier lists where like, oh, what's S tier anime? Oh, it's like D tier anime. So we love trivia, tier lists. We recently had an event with Pictionary. It was just basically where we give you a prompt. In this case, we'll give you an anime series and you have to draw something from that anime series and your team has to guess. Honestly, one of the funniest club meetings I've ever had. I've like busted my gut laughing. I'm pretty sure like I burned off like my donut and coffee that day. It was so funny. And we love giving away awesome prizes, by the way. So that's another great thing about us. If you check out our FSU Oops. I'm getting too excited. Okay, check out FSU Anime Club Instagram. So we love giving away awesome prizes. The most popular one, we love giving away anime figures. And we actually get them from our local anime store, Neo Tokyo. Yes, if you guys are not aware or not, London, Ontario has its very own anime store. And people from outside of London actually make the effort to come to London just to check out Neo Tokyo, the anime store. Oh my goodness, this store is so amazing. It has really it will improve your lifespan. Okay?
One of the most popular Comic Cons in Ontario is here in London. That's important to highlight.
We have two of them. We have London Comic Con and then Forest City Comic Con.
The Forest City and the other one is
London Comic Con.
Oh.
Yeah. So in relation to, like selling stuff at the Comic Cons, again, anime popularity, you'll see more anime stuff at the Comic Cons. And to circle back about Neo Tokyo, the anime store, we have a current deal promo with them where if you join Fanshawe's Anime Club and you buy our club membership card for just $5, guess what? That gets you 10% off almost anything in Neo Tokyo, the anime store. So it's a really good promo if you ask me, I find. You love your anime merch, you love your manga, you love your anime figures. Oh my goodness, you can get almost 10% off almost anything in the store. And in addition to that, if there's something that you can't find on Neo Tokyo, hit up their owner, whoever's at front desk, and they could order it for you. That's the best thing about the store. I cannot stress enough like how amazing Neo Tokyo is. So yeah, join us and buy our membership card and you can get 10% off.
With this announcement, we are going to finish our interview. Thank you so much for this conversation. I really appreciate people who really love manga and anime. As me, like me.
Yes, bless.
Absolutely. I loved seeing you at the event, like looking through our team list. It was really fun. I saw you looking through the shows and you were like, why is this an S tier? I loved it. It's great.
They did an activity close to Oasis in which you could choose an anime and put it in like in a rank. Mm-hmm. So most of the animes, I watched them and I was upset because Yu Yu Hakusho, for me, one of the most amazing animes when I was a child. Moira told me, no, that's very old. And I was like,
yeah, I think it's a recency bias,
because if I have to choose between Dragon Ball or Yu Yu Hakusho, I prefer Yu Yu Hakusho.
Same. I feel
The
that.
story, the anime, of course, we are talking about an anime of 90s, but for me, was better than Dragon Ball.
Absolutely.
So-
Beautiful story, honestly.
Thank you so much, Samantha and Moira. See you soon,
Yes.
I hope.
Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you for listening to another episode of the Red Couch Podcast. You can catch up with every episode on our website or wherever you get your podcasts. Watch full episodes on our YouTube channel and subscribe to our newsletter to keep up with Fanshawe. For the Interrobank, I'm Gracia Espinosa.